Hi everyone, I am Vishal Dhal and I will discuss the chapter number 11, that is Reasonable Should Be Taken Over Rational, of the book The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Housel in this chapter tells us not to aim to be coldly rational when making financial decisions. Rather, we should aim to be just pretty reasonable. Reasonable is more realistic and we have a better chance of sticking with it for the long run, which is what matters the most when making money. Are 50-50 over 1 day periods, 68% in 1 year periods, 88% in 10 year periods, and 100% in 20 year periods. Anything that keeps us in the game has a quantifiable advantage. Housel says academic finance is devoted to finding the mathematically optimal investment strategies. My own theory is that in the real world, people do not want the optimal strategy. They want the strategy that maximizes how well they sleep at night. Housel talks about how he visualized his grief if the stock market went way up and he wasn't in it, or if it went way down and he was completely in it. His intention was to minimize his future regret, so he split his contribution 50-50 between bonds and equities. The important thing to note here is that minimizing future regret is hard to rationalize on paper but easy to justify in real life. A rational investor makes decisions based on numeric facts. A reasonable investor makes them in a conference room surrounded by co-workers you want to think highly of you, or with a spouse you don't want to let down. Investing has a social component that's often ignored when viewed through a strictly financial lens. People are neither rational nor irrational. We are humans. We don't like to think harder than we need to, and we have unceasing demands on our attention. For example, day trading and picking individual stocks is not rational for most investors. The odds are heavily against our success. But they are both reasonable in small amounts if they scratch an itch hard enough to leave the rest of our more diversified investments alone. Jack Bogle, the late founder of Vanguard, spent his career on a crusade to promote low-cost passive index investing. Many thought it interesting that his son found a career as an active, high-fee hedge fund manager. Bogle, the man who said high-fee funds violate the humble rules of arithmetic, invested some of his own money in his son's funds. What's the explanation to that? We do some things for family reasons, Bogle told the Wall Street Journal. If it's not consistent, well, life isn't always consistent. Indeed, it rarely is. Now, few key takeaways from this chapter are: do not aim to be coldly rational when making financial decisions. Aim to be just pretty reasonable. Reasonable investors who love their technically imperfect strategies have an definite edge because they are more likely to stick with their strategies. Reasonable strategies maximize how well we sleep at night. Investing has a social component that's often ignored when viewed through a strictly financial lens. With this, we come to the end of this chapter. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.